Hey, welcome back to JG3 Reviews. My name is James, and here I like to explore the world of fountain pens, ink, and paper with you. And today I want to share with you a fountain pen, and this is the PenBBS 456. It's a vac-filled pen. It's been out for, goodness, 2.5, 3 years, and I've had this one for most of that time and intended to review it when it first came out, and I can't even tell you why I didn't, because over the last couple and a half years, this pen has performed flawlessly for me. So I am excited to share with you a review of the PenBBS 456. Let's check out this pen. And here we are with the PenBBS 456, a vac-filled pen. If you're really familiar with PenBBS, you're familiar with this pen most likely. It's been out, again, for about 2.5, 3 years, and I jumped on it and got this pen back at the very beginning when this color first came out because I really was looking for a nice brown pen, and I wanted to try the 456, and, a nexus of interests happened. And I've really enjoyed the pen. I've written with it for all that time. It's almost always inked up, and I've used a variety of inks and had flawless performance from the pen. But for some reason, just never got around to sharing it on the channel. Probably something else new, and squirrel. I went after that pen instead. Anyway, if you're familiar with the pen, then I'm sure you'll confirm the same kind of experience that I've had, although if you've had a different experience, as always, share that in the comments below. So the design of the pen. First, you come up here to that finial, and it is, in this case, a brown acrylic, matching brown acrylic to the rest of the pen. Nicely polished and really good high quality acrylic. The pen has a really nice feel, both the heft of the pen, part of which is because of the vac filling mechanism, and part is the quality of the acrylic. It feels like a good quality pen. The polishing is nice. The fit and finish are done really well. Really good. The clip, you will notice, is a fairly standard clip from PenBBS. I have some 480s and other pens that have that same clip. Works really well, a little bit stiff, even after those couple of years. Then we come down to that trim band, which itself says PenBBS, and then the model number 456, and then Shanghai, where the pen was made, and back around to PenBBS. That's all good. Then it tapers just slightly down to another trim ring, and then you have the knob that you use in the filling of the pen. Now this pen already has ink in it, so let me show you on another, because I have this really bright fluorescent version of the 456, and this pen, I'm just waiting on the right nib. I'm still looking for the right nib that I want to put in this pen to use it as a highlighter. I just think, with this color of the pen, what else would I do? Although electron blue would look really snazzy, I think, in this pen if I just end up sticking with the regular nib. Anyway, the knob. When you turn that knob, let me take the cap off. So you would open up that knob, and it is a safety knob. So for flights or things like that, you tighten down that knob, and it has a safety valve so the ink is stopped from going to the feed and nib when this is tightened all the way down. Now you do have a small reservoir in there of ink that you would use up first, but the ink from the barrel is not able to get to the feed when this is tightened all the way down. So in writing, if you're going to write a lot of things, a little quick note, it's not going to matter, but in writing, longer writing session, you're going to want to open that valve up enough that it brings that safety valve back, opens up the flow, and you write with the pen, and that works very well. Lots of vac-filled pens work in just that way. If you're new to a vac-filled pen, the way that you fill it is you pull back on that knob, and you saw that piston go all the way to the top. You would put the pen down in the ink, and then as you push down, you're creating a vacuum behind the piston. And you see this line here, when it passes that line, then air is going to be allowed into the barrel. Only you have your pen in a bottle of ink. So instead of air, it pulls in ink. Okay, so that's the way that works. And I will put a link right here to a short that I have demonstrating the filling of a 456. Now, if you're somebody who's really into the filling mechanism and watching that happen, then you probably do want to get one of these acrylic versions where it's really easy to see. This is a terrific demonstrator for somebody who's new to vac-filled pens, and just a lot of fun. When we go to remove the cap, it takes about 1.5 turns. The cap does post securely, especially if you have that knob in. Now, if I have that opened up, I usually don't post the pen, but short notes, I might do that. The pen ergonomically is fantastic. I find this to be one of the most comfortable pens I have to write with. I don't know what it is. They hit a sweet spot. You can see that it's long enough unposted for most hands. The section is not a large diameter or an overly thin section, but it has a nice curve to it. It just feels very comfortable, nice writing. And I don't know, every time I write with this pen, I wonder why? Why do I not write with this even more often? It just really is a fantastic pen and nib. Now, as far as that nib is concerned, I really enjoy writing with this pen. Visually, it's nice. It is a steel nib with that two-tone trim, and I really like the way that they've done their two-tone scrolling around the PenBBS name since 2005, and this one again is a fine. And you will notice, I think you can see that well enough here, that it is one of those kind of upturned fine nibs. That means it writes a little bit broader than, say, a Japanese fine, closer maybe to a Waverly nib or a Mini Fude. I'll let y'all hash out the differences between those two things, but it writes very nicely and very reliably, and I think has just a little bit of nice line variation, as you will see when I write with the pen in the test in just a moment. Of course, you can get other PenBBS nibs. One nice thing about PenBBS is that they sell nib units in these standard sizes, very reasonable prices, and then they go all the way up to gold nibs. So it's worth checking out PenBBS. I use their official site on Etsy because in the US, that's probably the easiest way to get a PenBBS pen or nib. That's just a screw-in nib unit, really easy to swap those out and to do maintenance and clean on them. In fact, let's talk about cleaning. All right, in cleaning this pen, really simple. First, if you want to actually take all of this out, and sometimes you need to with a vac-filled pen because ink can get stuck back behind that piston, you simply would use the appropriate sized wrench. And if you have one of those Hongdian wrenches with the multiple sizes on it, the Hongdian Asvine wrench, the right size is on that wrench. And so you would turn this with the wrench, there's two flat sides there, and you take that out, and then you can clean that out very easily and very thoroughly. If you're just wanting to maybe clean out the nib unit and just do a quick wash, maybe you're putting the same ink back in the pen, or maybe you just lucked out and got it that clean, then you just can unscrew the nib unit. And I want to show you a couple of things here. And then you can clean this out with your water bulb and really get that nice and thoroughly clean. So the nib unit, as I said, does also unscrew from the section. I'm not going to do that and go that far, but that unscrews. You can take that all apart, clean it very thoroughly, and it's just simple maintenance. You can get a parts kit, by the way, that includes more silicone O-rings, because you see there is one here, and there's one up here as well, and one inside that nib unit, and you can replace those parts as needed. So it's all really very simple to clean, take apart, and flush your pen, and I appreciate that about this design. And in our size comparison today, we have, of course, that Amber is a Cat 456, and then next to it, I have the Wingsung 3013. Now, this particular pen I have had for nearly 5 years, I think, and I have 4 of them, and they've all been great, reliable pens. This one was inked for years without stop, at least 3 years without stopping or even cleaning it out. I just kept refilling it with the same ink, really kind of put it through the paces, and that pen still writes great and very reliable, and I think still looks pretty good. No cracks or anything like that. Now this next one is a controversial vac-filling pen from Majan. This is the Majan V1. I actually like it. It's unique. It's kind of fun. Mine actually writes really well. I don't know why that would be surprising, but I guess for some, just looking at a very different pen, that makes it a surprise. But I like it. It's kind of a conversation piece, even if that conversation is, what is that dorky looking pen? I just think it's kind of fun. Next up, we have the Asvine V200, an acrylic pen, another demonstrator, kind of a theme among most of the pens today. And it too is a fantastic writer and a really fun pen, and I think it's been a pretty good hit for Asvine. Now you'll notice that 3 of these pens are pretty comparable in their unposted length. That Mahjong is a little bit shorter, and the Asvine and the PenBBS are both sporting number 6 steel nibs. The Wingsung is a pilot style nib, and then the Mahjong is their number 5. And then here is the length posted. None of these other pens post, or at least they don't post well. All right, as I said, whenever you're going to write with the pen for a while, go ahead and open up that safety valve, and that allows the ink to flow really well. As I mentioned, this is a fine nib, but it is, I'm going to put a little asterisk, because it is an upturned fine. It's not just their standard fine. Wetness has been pretty good, especially with this ink. So even though PenBBS can sometimes be dry, and this ink can sometimes be dry, I think it is flowing quite well. And that ink is, as you can probably see there, Pelican Brilliant Brown. That nib just kind of glides over the Rhodia paper. I really like it. Well-suited pairing there. Kind of forgot my small letters there, didn't I? Now I'm talking too much, and I can't even remember my alphabet. Kind of messed up, huh? A lot of you know I'm really into brown inks, and this one is a bit different from what I would normally get. This is more of a terracotta, very similar to Fountain Pen Revolution's Painted Desert. And so if you're looking for a color more to that end of brown, that kind of lighter, brilliant, as they say, reddish brown, this is a really good ink. And I would say that if I were going to pair this where the color matches, this is clearly not matchy-matchy, and that's fine. But if I were going to, if you put these together and it's like 2 different bits of Central Texas soil, you can find both these things not too far from my house, both these colors. But this would be very well matched to the Lamy Safari Terracotta Special Edition. I think that would look great together, this ink in that pen. Let's do our speed test. I don't think it'll have any trouble keeping up, but we shall see. Okay, I lifted on those 2 spots. Great. So the pen, you can see up here, did well, and then James went to bouncing around a little bit. A little too much caffeine this afternoon. The pen writes really well. If you're familiar with PenBBS, I mean, I never expect a dud. I haven't had one yet. It can happen with any pen company and does with everyone at some point. But this particular nib especially, I have a great experience with. I like their medium, but those are always in shorter supply, it seems like. But this particular fine with the little upturn is probably my favorite PenBBS nib, and one that I've had really good, consistent experiences with. The 456, excellent. I have no negative things to say about this pen. Is it perfect? It's probably not. Rarely is anything. But if you're looking for a really reliable, well-made, good-looking, good-feeling writing experience-wise pen, I don't think too many people are going to go wrong. It would just have to come down to personal preferences that there would be something that you didn't like about it. Because as far as the fundamentals of what makes a good fountain pen, this has it. And so I highly recommend the PenBBS 456, especially, I think, for people that you just want one pen or you just want a couple of pens. This could be the one pen. I'd be happy. If this was my only pen, I'd be happy with it. It is that good, and this one has been that reliable. All right, so there you go, the PenBBS 456, a fantastic fountain pen. And with that, All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for subscribing and liking and sharing and watching and commenting and all that good stuff. Most of all, and Happy New Year. Have a wonderful week, and God bless you.